Hello, this is the Cobra gtt400hd, which is a heavy-duty trailer suitable for the back of a garden tractor or an ATV. And this is how it arrives in this big sturdy box like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to unpack it all, take everything out, show you what we've got, and then more importantly, how to assemble it so you can use it in your garden. So there we have it all unpacked on the table, which is all going to go together to make this really strong trailer that carries up to 300 kilos. You do need a few tools, so you're going to need a crosshead screwdriver of some sort, spanners and sockets. You need 13 and 17 millimeters for putting all the nuts and bolts in. And when you unpack it, you'll notice that some of the framework, the steelwork, is actually temporarily bolted down through these holes, so you have to take that apart. That's just done to stop it moving around when it's in transit. And everything you need to know about assembling the trailer is in this owner's manual, and it's got everything in there from a step-by-step there, how to put it together and which order to do it. So please do read it and follow it. And finally, the bulk of the nuts and bolts for putting it together are tucked away into this. So don't think you haven't got them, they are in there. As we can see, they've been pushed in there, again, to stop them rattling around in transit. So what we've done is we've turned the main part of the trailer upside down here, and we're going to fit this piece, which is going to carry the wheels, and this actually takes the weight. And you'll see it's already pre-drilled all along there. We've got 5 holes there and 5 holes there, which line up with the holes in this. Now this is quite heavy, the whole thing is quite heavy, so you know, you might need a little bit of help with this. We're doing it on a table, you can do it on the floor, but it is a bit heavy, so just bear that in mind. So I'm lining those up with the holes there. Now this is the axle, which is loose, so I'm going to actually take that out because otherwise it's going to slide out and might do an injury. And I think an easy way that you can, just to get these first few in, is to, if you've got it on a table like this, you can just let it overhang just a little bit so I can get my hand in there with the nuts and bolts. So these are the nuts and bolts, and again, just to make it easier, before you start the assembly, it's worthwhile just taking them apart. So it's a nut and a bolt, and each one has also got on it a flat washer and a split washer there, which will give it the tension when we tighten it all up. So I'm going to take those apart and then we can assemble it. You're going to need your 13 millimeter spanners or a socket for this. So what I've done, I've brought it over the edge of the table there. I'm going to say, if you need some help with this, do get it. So I've got my bolt, which I can now push up through the hole that will come out on there like that. And then onto that, I'm going to put a flat washer, split washer, put on my nut. So I've got my cross thread there, which is going to go underneath, and then I can get the socket on, and I'm just going to tweak that down just a little bit at this stage, so it's almost just finger tight like that, and we'll go around and tighten it up in a second when we've got the rest in. So what I'm going to do then is put this one in and then slide it off the table at the other side, put the other two. So I've essentially got a bolt in each corner, so that's going to hold it in position, and then we can put the ones in between and tighten everything up. Right, so I've got one in each corner now. I'm going to tighten those up firmly. All the holes are in line, so once I've got the 4 corners nice and tight, I can put the other 6 in, and then we've got this firmly in position. Everything has been tightened down. Because we've got the little split washer, it is important that we get them really tight, and you're going to need help with that. We actually then tilted it on its side so we could have one person holding the screwdriver and the other tightening the nut. The next thing you need is this A-frame here, which is going to go on the front there. We've got 4 holes here which correspond with these, and the same at the other side. And what we're going to do to start with is just put the 2 outer nuts and bolts in, the same length, the short length that we've put in the middle. So just 2 here and 2 there, and I'm going to do it exactly the same way by just pushing it up from underneath and doing it that way. So we've got these on really tight now. So the next thing is to build the framework that gives us the pulling handle. So there are two pieces like this that we can use, and there's a right and a wrong way to put them on. You can see these holes don't measure up to each other there. So if we spin that round, we can see that these holes here are in line with those. And what we're going to use are these longer bolts, and there are 8 in total. 4 of them were used as part of the packaging to hold down this in transit. So you're already taking those out. So we've got 2 in there, and then we're going to put 1 through there. So I'm going to put this one through the end in first, because that will just hold everything into place and make life easier for us. So I'm just going to push that one through. So I've got my assistant to hold that. Can you just hold that up for me, Gareth, like that? Just makes it a little bit easier if you've got a little bit of help there. So washer on. Again, the split washers are really important. They prevent the nuts from vibrating off as you use it around the garden. Okay, and I'm just going to put that finger tight for now because we need to do a little bit of adjusting at this point. And then I can get, again, one of the longer bolts from the inside. Just got to find the hole and then just wiggle that, get it in position. And we can then put the washers and the nut on that, and then the last one there. So it does really help not to tighten these up until you've got everything in place. There we go, popped out through the top. Okay, so before I tighten those up, because we have got another piece to go on as well, I'm going to do the repeat on the other side, so we've got both of these in position. Now those are all on finger tight, we've still got a little bit of movement in there if we need it. We've got this piece, this U piece, which goes into the end there, so that just slides in, and we're going to push it all the way in to line up the holes just there, like that. Right, so that's now in place. So everything is finger tight. So what I can do now is get the socket and the screwdriver, and we're going to tighten these, this and this on both sides, and that's going to hold it really secure. Next thing we want is this, which is the long bar on the chassis that we can use if we're actually towing it. So it's folding, but this is how it arrives when you get it. So you want it with this pin to be at this end here, and what we're essentially going to do, if I hold that like that, when we put the axle back in, it will go also through this to hold it into place. So if you pop it on there, we've got a little slot underneath here as well, because this is a tipper, so that goes underneath there like that. So that positions that into place, and then if I get the axle, that will go through there. Just need to lift that just to get it into line, give it a wiggle, and that's out. So that is now firmly in place, and then obviously we're going to put the wheels on there. For transit, there is a nut and bolt through here, so we just need to take that out like that, and then that will fold over into that position, and then we can put that back through there to lock it and put the nut and bolt back on. And that can then be tightened with the spanner. This is a locking nut on this one, so we don't need the spring washer, so that will tighten up. And we get our socket onto there, and our screwdriver in at that side to hold it, and that will tighten up and hold that firmly in place. Next we can put the wheels on there, so to do that we've got 2 washers and a spacer, so we put 1 washer on first, then we put on the spacer like that, then we get the wheel obviously with the valve outwards like that, and just get that lined up through there, push that on into place, and then we can put the other washer on, and then we can put the split pin in like that, so that goes through and opens up now. That will then push through to that, which gives the space for us to do the other side, which I'll go and do now. Simply repeat the process: washer, spacer. Just eye that through, and then we can put the other washer on. This split pin goes there, and then just that needs to just be bent back round to make sure that that can't fall out. So bend that round like that. Might need a pair of pliers, and that's it, that won't come off. So there we have the wheels. Then we've got this piece, it's this other little support foot. Comes already with the nuts and bolts in it, so I'm just going to pop those there. So we're going to pop that into that position so it's facing that way. Put the bolt through, and the washer, and then the locking nut onto it. And this one we will need 2 spanners when we tighten it completely. We'll just repeat the second one. So I've got those on, so we just need to tighten those on with spanner and a socket. Now I called it a foot. If you see it in the manual, you'll notice it's been referred to as a tong, but it's going to basically support this tow bar when we're not using the trailer. Finally, if you intend to use this as a hand cart and pull it around with this handle, then what you can do is take this nut and bolt out, and this part of the arm folds over again, and you attach this wheel onto it like that. And that basically just gives it a little bit of a support. It's a third wheel. If you're going to tow this behind a garden tractor or an ATV, then you don't need this. So this is an optional extra that you can fit, and the bolts are supplied with it as well. So what we'll do, we'll lift it off the table, put it on the ground, and let you see it now it's been assembled. So there it is, really light and easy to push around if you're using it as a hand cart. If you are using it on a lawn tractor or an ATV, then this is the hitch here. So you just take this pin out, pop that through, connect it through, and put your R pin back in to hold it in place. And of course this one is a tipping trailer, so to tip it, it's just a lever there, and you can tip out your sand, your compost, whatever it is, and then when you push that down, that will just lock back into place, and away you go.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk. Always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.